and welcome back to the Primal Scream. I am Matt. Hold on a second here, Todd. Hold on. There you go. How's that?
Hold on. And I'm Todd.
And they're Todd. Yeah. And today is what? September 7th, 2017. Todd, you said you had a lot of stuff to talk about today.
I shouldn't just make blanket statements like that.
But wanted to tell you that I don't care,
too?
and I have a ton of shit to talk about too.
I think what I've been thinking most about or realizing is that I've listened to probably 2 or 3 Joe Rogans, Tim Ferriss, some of these podcasts that are out there that are really popular and really good and informative.
Yes.
And it just seems to me that people are really parsing their words. Like they're being really fucking careful about what they say, because around any corner you say something wrong and you're in serious fucking trouble.
You're fucked.
I mean, like you say, well, I'm just not sure if that's what they're trying to do. Maybe they're trying to do this instead.
Right.
Oh, you fucking misogynist, asshole, racist, Nazi, whatever, and then you get fired. I mean, it's like there's the whole idea of innocent until proven guilty. It's all about perception. So if you work for a college and you make a statement that you could easily say, you know what, that's not what I meant. I meant this. I'm sorry it came across that way. Sorry, we're not taking any fucking chances. You're out. You know what I'm saying? It's just like these immediate knee-jerk reactions for discussions people are having.
Yeah.
And this is where I'm skewing terribly from the left, is that if we continue to have this culture of we are not going to have discussions about things, that I can sit down with a Nazi, the three of us, me and you, and a guy who considers himself a Nazi in belief systems and follows Hitler and thinks he's the greatest thing ever. If the three of us can't sit down and talk to this guy and us understand him better or him understand us better, I mean, this is what I'm talking about. And I know that you've harped on this for years, literally now, but I'm just saying that it just seems like we're hitting, I feel like we're hitting this pinnacle point of where, violence is going to occur. And I only think of that as because I, of course, I got some text or some tweet about crazy right-winger fires gun in the crowd. Right? And I thought, oh, okay. So I click on the thing, right? I'm like, well, let's see what happened. Because now, no matter what anybody says to me, tweet-wise, or I hear email-wise like that, I'm like, don't read the title.
Hold on a second.
Don't give a fuck about that title. I'm going to look and see this, right?
Yeah. Right.
So a bunch of, I guess the guys who were in this right-wing protest were coming down this little stairway and they're walking around, and around them were protesters screaming and yelling, calling them names, things like that. And then out of the corner of the screen, you see like a spray of some sort, but you can't tell what it is, right? And this guy walking down the stairs, is dressed as a typical, Harley Davidson shirt, 9mm on his hip, big old belt buckle. I mean, what you would consider, I guess,
the epitome
of a redneck, right?
Okay.
Well, as he comes down, he's looking over at this guy. He keeps walking away, and then all of a sudden you see the guy who's spraying whatever this is spraying, fucking lights it on fire like a torch, like you used to do when you were a kid with hairspray.
Yeah.
And then the guy turns around and pulls his gun out because he was like, "What the fuck is this person doing?" Yeah. Now, Ernie Trout would be the first person to say, you shouldn't even pull your fucking gun.
Wait.
Okay, all
right.
Right?
Let's not put words in his mouth, though.
I'm sorry. Yeah. I would assume that Ernie, with his gun safety and him talking about, if somebody kills himself with a 9mm to their head, that's going to go through their head, the fucking wall, the wall of the house next to them, and possibly to somebody else.
Sure.
So he would be careful. Now, I'm sure if he felt like he was in a dangerous situation and the remedy was to protect yourself, I get that. Okay. I'm just saying that gun safety is important as I, as a non-gun user, hear Ernie talk about the movements of this guy, or maybe go, whoa, what the fuck are you doing? But then, again, the title was Crazy Gun Nut Just Fires a Gun Off. So you think it's just some asshole doing something stupid. Somebody lit a fucking torch near these people who are walking down this hallway, down this little stairway outside.
Right. Yeah.
And so I was like, it's so skewed. The guy should not have fired his gun into people. I get it.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah,
hold on. Can I give you my 2 cents real quick?
Oh God, I'd love it. I would 5 cents from you.
Not only is the article skewed, okay? Not only is the article skewed, but you should look at like what are the way that person's thinking? He's already got a gun on his hip, so he's got a concealed carry permit or a carry permit, right? When let me kind of guide you through this.
Please.
When would anybody who is carrying a firearm on the regular, when would anybody discharge a firearm? Do you have any idea?
I don't know. No.
Just a guess. I'm not right or wrong. We'll just talk about
being
it.
attacked.
Okay, if you feel like your life is in danger and there's no way, this is like the last thing that you could possibly do. You can't run away. This person's coming at you with a weapon. You have to be able to articulate the situation when you go to court, because Lord knows you're going to court. Lord knows you're going to be arrested.
Right.
You know, and people are going to try to figure out what happened. So you have to be able to articulate it. And if you are able to articulate, okay, the way I've been trained, you discharge your firearm in two situations. One, you feel like deadly force is going to be used against you, and the only way to protect yourself, because all other avenues have been removed, is to pull your firearm and discharge it. That's the only way you're going to be able to save your own life, which is justified.
Sure.
Okay? The other way that it is justified is all those other things you can't do. You can't run away, blah, 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 blah. And or you are protecting somebody else's life. You are defending somebody else's life. So if you can articulate, this person lit their fucking mace.
Whatever it was, yeah.
Whatever it was, and they were going to set somebody on fire. I saved somebody's life by discharging my firearm to disable that person, not to kill them, but to disable them so that they would not injure or kill these other people.
Right.
Then it all of a sudden, because you can articulate it,
Right.
and you can say, I was defending people's lives,
Right.
all of a sudden you're not a gun nut, you're a hero.
Right. And they had a whole thing of he's been found and arrested and all these other things. And I'm like, I know that we listen to things to hear the things that we want to hear.
Sure.
So I like listening to Bill Maher, okay? Because there are parts of things that I do agree with, the liberal kind of way of thinking about things. But I still appreciate him when he has Republicans on his panel on the regular that he boos his crowd to let that guy talk. Like this is the discussion that should be happening.
Yeah.
It should not be, I'm going to invite these guys on so you can just kick them in the balls. I mean, what's the point of that? You know what I mean? And I know people who appreciated Bill Maher, even though they don't agree with him at all, but be from Religulous, where he didn't mock people and give people shit and a hard time. He was thoughtful and listened to people.
Yeah.
In that movie.
But that's only if you were able to see that for what it was. Because I'm sure there's people that watched Religulous and went, what a fucking asshole. Wait. How about the fact that he didn't make fun of anybody? He's just asking questions.
He let people pray for him. I mean, he tried to. I mean, it seemed like he was being very amicable, and he's a very anti-religious person.
Right. So, so this is just now dawning on you, huh?
No,
this is
well, for me, it takes a slap in the fucking face sometimes to get my dander up about something.
Your
but
dander.
You like that?
No, it sounds
it's old timey. But when Jordan Peterson and Brett Weinstein were on Joe Rogan's podcast, towards the end of it, they were just doing things like, okay, I'm not sure I want to talk about this. Let me see how I can word this so that my words aren't taken out of context. I mean, they couldn't even have a discussion on an open forum like Joe Rogan's podcast, which is some of the craziest fucking shit I've ever heard in my life came on that podcast.
Right.
And for some reason, these two educated, well thought out people who are neither right nor left, right? One's a scientific biologist, one's a speaker, and yet these two men are going, okay, let me think about what I'm going to say so that it's not fucking ruined by somebody. Yeah. And I think that's something that is newer in the sense that I'm now hearing people talk about it, the sense of I cannot speak what I want to say because it's going to be misconstrued. You can't say, hey, Hitler is pretty charismatic. Hitler is pretty, and he's a great organizer. Can't give him that. You can't not give him that. Those are two facts.
What a great speaker.
I can say Trump is a douchebag, but guess what? He gave $1 million of his own money, and he just sided with Democrats in Congress to get the budget passed. Sorry. You may think Trump is Hitler, but he just did 2 things that were very awesome in my mind.
Right.
Right?
It didn't shut down the government.
It shut down the government. He kept things going, and he went along and met with Democrats to make sure something happened. If I bring that up to somebody who's a fucking hater of Trump,
Yeah.
they're like, oh, what about everything else he did? I'm like, you're right. I don't like him either. I think he's a bad president. But guess what?
Well, you just said 2 things that...
No, but he did 2 things that are good. He did 2 things that were great.
Right.
You know, as far as I'm concerned. I'm just saying that I don't want you to think that I didn't ever listen to you. It's the same way as my lady going, I saying, hey, that's a really good idea. And her going, what the hell? And I mean, going, what? She was like, I said that to you 5 minutes ago. And you didn't think it was a good idea. And now you think it's a good idea because somebody else said it. And so I don't think it's not that I'm not listening. But maybe it has to be more apparent to me in my face. Yeah. It's not affecting me at all personally.
Sure. Yeah.
But I really appreciate the idea of people being able to have discussions even if it's bad. And you and I have always been on the same page of the neo-Nazis marching in Iowa City. I'm not going to take my kids there, but they can go march if they want to, right? And that doesn't mean that we like them. It doesn't mean that we side with them. And so I hate this idea that nobody can sit around and just have a discussion about something.
If you don't oppose it, you embrace it.
Right. There's no middle ground. You know what I mean? And so it's like, it makes me want to be a part of a third party that, you know, because even independents now, if you're a part of the independent party, you're a socialist like Bernie Sanders, or you know, I mean, you're right away.
Why do you have to be a part of a party?
Yeah, well, because you don't get elected. People don't get elected if they're not part of a party in this country. It's the hard part. So you have the Trumps, you know, that come around.
But for the remainder of your life, for all the other times besides the 10 minutes it takes to go in and vote and then leave, why do you have to throw a label on yourself to be, well, I'm part of this part, oh no, I'm a libertarian, oh no, I'm a Democrat? I mean, people love to give me a hard time and say that I'm a Democrat. Fucking bleeding heart Democrat.
It's so shocking. It tells you the group that you're with.
Well, the guy who does it to me, he knows it. He's just joking.
Oh, gotcha.
But he knows I'm not. He knows I'm definitely not a Republican.
Right.
I have conservative views.
Yes.
About a lot of things, but I have different views about a lot of stuff. I can't just go straight party. Right. Voting because I think that's ridiculous.
It's like Peter Schiff. Listening to him on Joe Rogan's podcast, I have a hard time with some libertarian points of view because I feel like there's not a lot of humanity in there. It's kind of cut and dry.
In the libertarian?
In the sense of like, hey, pick yourself up by your bootstraps. You know, it's that kind of mentality when some people don't have the ability to pull themselves by them bootstraps, whether it's a child or it's
the definition of ability has, I mean, it's been destroyed. It's like, oh, you haven't worked for a while, so you have an inability. Oh, wait, I have a weight issue. I can't possibly work for the rest of my life. How about you get off your ass? If there is an actual medical issue, that means you can't move. There's people who are in a wheelchair and they're in great shape because they choose to be in great shape, because they choose to eat better food and they choose to be active, you know? And then there's people who are just like, well, fuck it. Government's going to give me money. I just don't choose to do anything. So, I mean, the definition of what we're talking about with you can't help it, you can't do anything about it, you're going to have to take medical. It's so skewed now that it's not that you have to, it's that people, oh, fuck it, I choose to.
Right.
And it doesn't mean that when you're a libertarian, it doesn't mean that you're anti-human. In fact, I'm harming you if I just give you $50 every day. There you go, Todd. There's $50 every day. And you're like, thanks, man. I really didn't want to go to the grocery store. Oh, I picked up some stuff for you. I know you don't like to go to the grocery store, so I just got you some stuff. Oh, thanks, man. Hey, could you pick up some stuff for me tomorrow? Yeah, I can do that. Yeah. Wow, Todd, you've put on 500 pounds. Why? Because Todd doesn't get off the couch, because Matt gets all of his groceries for him. Todd never has to leave his home. I give him money. I give him an internet. I give him a computer. I give you everything. And you don't have it in your head to try. So if I give you everything, what is the incentive to try?
And
I'm harming you.
And I thought
You know
I
what
had
I'm
done something. And I thought I had done something. I thought I had read something that I forget. I got to find out where it was at that I heard about it or I read about it, where it was like when they were giving people everything they needed, they actually, it was harmful to them.
Sure.
But where they gave them what they needed with the incentive of, but we're still going to go, you still got to go out and get shit done, that actually increased the value of their life. Their life was more valuable to them than just sitting around doing nothing. They took on, it empowered them.
I think that there's people who want to be different or better, right? They want to better their situation. They want to be the best person they can be. There's people like that in the world. And then there's people who can't. There's people who, for whatever reason, however they were born, however their mental focus is or is not, they're perfectly fine with sitting on the couch and doing nothing, absolutely nothing besides take in a paycheck. And then bitch and moan and complain about every little thing because they're not focusing on what they could be, the beautiful sunrise out there. They don't ever look up at the clouds and be like, oh man, let me appreciate all this beauty around me. When was the last time, Todd? When was the last time that you looked at the sky and went, holy fuck, this is goddamn gorgeous. There's a sea of people around me moving around and nobody is stopping to look at this. This is a goddamn Picasso. This is a work of art. There's right. the wildfires that are happening and they're so far away. It was a handful of days ago.
So far away, but it's affecting us.
Yes, you're right. So because we're in Iowa and we don't have wildfires really in Iowa.
No, it's been the smoke traveled, right?
The smoke traveled and it made the sun look blood red to us as it was going down in the west. And I came out of work one day and I was walking in my car and I looked at it and it just stunned me.
How cool it looked.
Because I can't make it look like that again. I can't create anything as beautiful as what that was. But I mean, that's just one silly thing. That's me appreciating nature. But there's people who don't appreciate that. They don't appreciate their kids. They don't appreciate their house. They don't appreciate their health. They don't appreciate their freedom. They don't appreciate any of that shit. And then they just focus on the shit that they want to bitch about.
Right.
So you have the people that are going to make themselves better naturally because they want to. And then you have people who are like, fuck it. I'm going to complain. Why? Because it's easy. It's just easy to complain, and this is who I am.
Well, and
I'm a fucking Debbie Downer.
Yeah, and I wish that, I know that a lot of people who are on disability, a lot of people who are on welfare and assistant programs like that actually need it. And the majority of the people who are on them are children or disabled vets or the elderly. That's a very small percent that are people that are kind of using it for the reasons we're talking about or just kind of don't want to give a fuck about it.
Yeah, and I don't think that everybody who takes a handout is a piece of shit.
No, but I mean, there is, I mean, I've heard discussions. I've been like in a grocery store and heard a discussion of, well, yeah, hey, so-and-so got so-and-so pregnant. Did you hear about that? Yeah, they're already planning on their WIC payments. They're already planning on all the assistance they're going to be getting. And they just got pregnant. So they're already like planning on spending the paychecks that are going to be coming in. And I don't think that that's an isolated conversation that I'm just catching at the grocery store. I've had other friends say, yeah, I was kind of disappointed because I went to the grocery store the other day when I was checking out. The person in front of me, bought a handful of, food to eat, and they used their assistance money for that. And then behind that was a bunch of fucking booze and cigarettes and stuff, and they paid cash for that.
Isn't that kind of, that's
really kind of the old...
Exactly. That's the go-to bullshit comment, isn't it? Me judging you. Really? You're going to use my tax money? You're going to use my government money that I have to pay into taxes.
I'm helping pay for your shit.
And I'm helping pay for your PlayStation 4.
Right.
Do you really need that? Yeah, maybe. 'Cause I got a fucking PlayStation 4. Why am I better than them?
To have what they want.
Why should I be able to have whatever I want, but they can't?
Well,
Why
some
can
people would say that because you're not on assistance.
Yeah, but what again? Here's another thing. As Americans, why can we explode over 1,000 nuclear bombs in testing from the moment we invented the nuclear bomb to present day, and then we have the audacity to say to any other nation, nope, you can't have nuclear weapons. Oh, nope, you can't have a nuclear bomb. What the fuck?
Right.
Do I think everybody should have nuclear bombs? No. I also don't think that we should have exploded over 1,000 nuclear bombs, the U.S. alone,
Right.
off the coast, in Nevada, wherever. That shit is. I mean, after like two, after you're like, oh, I can repeat this. Oh, that's devastating. Okay, I think we're good. I don't think we need.
I think this annihilates everything. I think we're good.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good one, right, guys? It totally fucking killed those paper targets.
I am not sure how. I'm not sure how you're my point is that and I've gotten this position myself. I'm buying things I shouldn't be buying because I just can't. I can't afford it. So then why am I buying it? So
it's the idea of for me. It's the idea of I can choose what you do with your life. Right?
Okay.
I can choose as an American, or a lot of Americans, or a president or a government can say, hey, Korea, this is what you can't do, but we can do it.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh, this is me as an American saying, I can buy this for me. I can have this, but you can't have it. Why? Because you're on food stamps. You can't fucking have that.
Okay.
You know, it's just,
is there some personal responsibility in there that happens, or no?
It's a bullshit human reaction of, and I don't know if it's a human reaction or it's just an American reaction of, well, I have this, but you shouldn't have this. Why? Because I'm fucking judging you. I'm totally judging you.
Well, let me take the devil's advocate side of it. I don't think he's judging. I am paying taxes so that you can have the things that you need, not want, but need. But you need food. You need those things. Do you need booze? Do you need cigarettes? Do you need a PlayStation when you're just trying to survive? I'm not saying you're wrong.
Yeah, but isn't he taking the money? Isn't he using the food stamps for the things he needs?
Right.
And then he's taking his cash.
Right.
Or her cash, and buying the shit that you disapprove of.
Right. But then people are going to say, then why are you not just taking your cash and buying the things that you need and not buying all this other shit? Why do you want assistance at all? If you're going to be able to, if you have cash to buy this stuff, you should have that cash to buy this stuff. And I shouldn't be giving you any assistance. So in other words, just switch it around. So now use the assistance to buy all your booze and cigarettes, and then use your cash to buy the other stuff. I mean, what's the difference? So I mean, it's
well, the difference is you got fucking bleeding hearts like yourself who make sure that everybody has a handout. You can't. The thing is, I don't think you can have it both ways.
Okay,
it's a complex issue. There's, are there opportunities? Are people educated in the idea of being able to acquire those opportunities? I don't know what's available around me. If I took half a moment to look into it, maybe I would look into it and realize, oh, definitely don't go to college. Definitely don't go to college and get in debt up to your fucking eyeballs that you can't ever write off.
Right.
That you can't, I'm sorry, not write off, but you can't ever get rid of, file bankruptcy for. Yeah. Everything else you can, but not school debt, not medical.
Right.
The two things that you absolutely need to make sure that you can pay for, medical or you die.
Right.
And education, or you're going to be, if you don't get a decent education or learn a trade, you're going to be working at McDonald's.
Right.
So is that the life that you want?
Well, it's funny too, because I've changed my thinking because of like, who's the Mike? What's his face? Who's the Jobs guy? Dirty Jobs. Michael
Myers.
What the fuck? Michael Myers. No, he does Dirty Jobs. He does the voice for the extreme crab things on Discovery Channel. Why am I blanking on his name? He's Mr. Jobs. He's Mr. like trade guy.
Yeah, I know.
You know who you're talking about?
Yeah.
Everybody else knows what I'm talking about too.
Okay. We'll just move on.
Anyways.
You're killing me.
Because of listening to him about trades and jobs and things that are out there available, good paying jobs. You know, my youngest, we know life's going to change for him too, or his decisions, but he's been talking about going to culinary school for 5 years of his 10 years or 11 years now. And so at first I was like,
love to do dishes?
He loves doing dishes. He loves cooking, shopping. He likes all that stuff.
All right.
And so I've had to change my thinking because I've been one of those people. It's like when you success is going to college. It's not. I mean, it's not the other way you become successful. It's that you start out to be successful by going to college, and that's the only way of going about it. And now I've been thinking of going, okay, well, if he really wants to go to culinary school, he might get a trade. It might be a trade thing. It won't be a 4-year degree necessarily, you know. And I'm having to get to the point of going, okay, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That's the direction he would like to take. Mm-hmm. But in the back of my mind, loser. It's still kind of.
I'm raising a loser.
It's not a loser.
Oh, fuck. He's going to be wearing the white hat and he's going to look like a fucking douche. He's a loser.
As long as he's not at Sizzler, we're going to be good. We're going to be awesome. But I had to change my thinking about it.
He's a loser. I'm sorry. You're right. Gotta go. I'm sorry. You're so disappointed.
I'm just devastated. No. So it's had to change my thinking. It's in the back of my mind. I'm still going, okay, he's not going to get a 4-year degree. Is that all right? You know, kind of thing. And I've had to change my perception about it because it's totally okay for him to do whatever he wants as long as he's happy.
Yeah, I think so. It's real. I've been kind of smiling. I've been all giddy over here this whole time.
Because why?
Because it's ironic. It's really super. It's almost weird because it is weird that you went down this route today of topic.
And you were happy to talk about fun things?
No. But my topic was this topic.
Oh, God, no way.
Have you seen, everybody, have you seen, let me pull this up over here. But have you all seen the latest American Horror Story?
No.
You have not? Todd?
I don't follow it anymore at all. I watched the first season, or second season, that was it.
Oh, my, here we go. Oh, what's going on here? Oh, the American Horror Story. It's so great. So, this isn't exactly the beginning of it, but let me see if I can cursor over here. I should have put hotkeys to this. So what do you think this is, Todd? If you were to look at this, what do you think?
The election is over and we lost.
It is.
She has I just voted sticker on her shirt. I'm fucking good, dude.
This series, this what do you call it? The season? Mm-hmm. This season of American Horror Story is phenomenal. I've only watched one episode.
Does it correlate with the other ones or no? They're two separate stories or Well, if I watch it, I'm going to be lost.
Yes. No.
Okay.
Well, yes, you will be because every season of American Horror Story is completely segmented. It is a completely different story. Season 1 didn't transition into season 2, but the cool correlations is when they pick a character out of one of the previous seasons and then they place it in the new season in an imaginative way, right?
Okay.
So they do that in this season. And this season starts off with election night. And these fucking people
lose their minds.
They lose their minds. And while I was watching this, while my wife and I are watching this, our jaws are on the ground. Not because it's scary. It's so fucking scary realistic.
Oh.
Like, there was legitimately people crying that night. Like in that in that shot.
How many episodes is this season in, by the way?
Just one. Just one so far.
Oh, so I can catch up.
Yeah.
Oh, hey.
But you also have this shot. So it's a little party. Couples are together. They're watching election night. And this guy loses his shit on his wife because Trump wins. And he goes, God damn it. You were part of the 10,000 who didn't fucking vote.
Oh.
And if you would have fucking voted, then other people would have fucking voted. And look at her. He's losing his shit on his wife.
Oh, okay.
And people are losing their minds. Trump wins, and people legitimately thought the sun would not rise the next day. People were so scared and terrified and just losing their shit. Now, I'm gonna show a couple of clips, and I want to see if you can. I want to see if you can tell me what's going on with this. Okay.
I like this. This is a fun game.
What do you think happened here, Todd?
Is this Punch a Nazi?
No, this is now these two actresses, they are representing the token lesbian couple. Okay? So when election night happens, the one on the left loses her shit. And she's pretty much a basket case the whole first episode. She's a total basket case. But she starts losing her shit so much that it spills over. It's not just her now that she's affecting.
Yeah.
So they have a small child. And so she's ranting and ranting and ranting about all this fear, all this shit that she has no clue about. And her son goes, "Mommy, do you have to get a divorce now? Can you guys not be my mommy anymore?" Now, he didn't just generically throw that shit pull that out of his ass. He said it because of his crazy fucking moms and their ideology, and they immediately shout out, "Oh, this is what's going to happen. Oh my God, what's going to happen to this? Or is he going to revoke this? Or is he going to turn over that?" You know, they immediately go into absolute terror.
Right.
And that spills over onto the kid. And when I'm watching this, I'm thinking, how often does that happen? How often do I or my wife or any of us start expounding on these ideas that are happening around us? And it's all just up in the air. It's all just nothing's actually real. We're just throwing out thoughts, but we're terrorizing. We're fucking terrorizing our children, and we're influencing them. So when they go to school, they're like, "Oh my God, you're a Trump supporter?" And you know what I mean?
Right.
They should have no fucking clue about politics.
Right.
Kids should play, and kids should clean their rooms.
Right.
That's it. That's
Have a
all they
good
should do.
time. Yes.
And have a good time. All right, let's see if I'm going to pull up another photo. All right. So this is, oh, and by the way, in this photo, the two of them are talking about, "Well, why didn't you vote for Jill Stein? I'm so upset that you didn't vote for Jill Stein." Right? They're talking politics.
Okay.
Like everywhere they're going, the one on the left can't shut the fuck up about politics. Like this whole political thing, it happened. She can't let it go. And they're just arguing. They get nailed by this guy. As you can see, it's kind of blurred out.
Yeah.
They're getting nailed. The guy in the next photo emptied his drink right into him. He just goes, "Pish!"
Oh.
and nails him with a drink. And they're like, "What the fuck?" And he's like, "Enjoy your lattes, bitches." So the guy right there is the antagonist of the show. So this season's called Cult. American Horror Story Cult.
Okay.
So anyway, I can see this. I can
Sure.
see this type of reaction happening to people who are so wrapped up in Trump, and they can't shut the fuck up about it. And then you have anti-Trump people walking by, and they can't. They react violently. Or you have that where somebody's talking about the Democratic side and a Trump supporter fucking reacting violently and being ridiculous. Let it the fuck go. All of us, unless you're a politician, all of us worry about ourselves. Worry about your day, worry about your kids, worry about your marriage. Make it spicy, maybe make a film. I don't know. But who gives a fuck about politics? I'm not going to change politics. I can't change the election. So in that photo, I thought it was great that these people are losing their minds. And this is the collision that's happening. This is where the story is blossoming from. Now, Todd, here's the next photo. Let's see if you can make sense of it.
Oh, that's fucking horrible. Oh, God, it makes my skin crawl really bad.
All right.
See, I take a deep breath.
All right. And who do you think is seeing this photo right here? Now, in the photo, for people who are listening and not watching, you see it's one of those curved mirrors in a corner of a grocery store, and somebody is looking into the mirror, and they see down the next aisle two people in Halloween type creepy
It's really, really
outfits,
scary. I don't know if I can watch it now.
How about this?
Yeah, that's scary.
Those two are having sex.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
Oh, that makes it more fun.
But they're dressed up like clowns, creepy fucking clowns,
Yes,
right?
they're very
and guess
creepy.
who's seen those people?
Who?
Her,
Is it because she's losing her mind?
because she's losing her mind. But is she? That is kind of the thing of the season so far. Is she truly losing her mind? Because when she makes it out of the grocery store, this happens.
Oh, wow. So could my lady and I sit down and watch this together and we would enjoy the show and enjoy the story and we wouldn't have to know past stuff? And be okay?
Yeah. You don't have to see, you don't have to see anything else. Here's the antagonist again. I love this actor. I think
He's been in lots of things.
he has been. And I think in particular, American Horror Story, the series has been a phenomenal awakening for people who can appreciate actors, because every season, all of these actors play completely different personalities and people. Completely.
Wow. That's pretty neat.
And in this one, he stands up at this point, he's standing up in front of a city council, and he's the only one there to talk. And the whole city council's there to vote on something. And he comes up and he wants to make a point. And his point is somewhat true. You have to take it with a grain of you have to take it with a grain of salt. I don't believe in to the letter of what he was saying, but the feeling, like just a dash of it, is true. Like, we're too content, we're too safe, we're too taken care of, we're too we're given money too easily from the government to take care of ourselves, which then harms ourselves. Right. You know what I mean? Life is just too simple. And in that, he's saying we need a little fear. We need a little fear. So quit voting on shit to be safer and let life be life. To some extent.
Interesting. Well, and that's kind of what Joe Rogan talks about too, about he likes being challenged. He likes trying not to get choked out, because it puts him to the edge of, getting killed almost. And so he thinks that it's good to challenge your body once in a while, challenge your mind, stress yourself out. And it's interesting too, because that's what I liked about CrossFit, was that it scared the shit out of me all the time and made me really fearful. And I didn't know if I could accomplish it. I didn't know. I thought people might make fun of me because I'm not good at it. I had all these preconceived fears going into it. And it still scares me to this day, because I just mentally am not as strong as the average person, I don't think.
Yeah.
When it comes to really pushing myself. Like I said, I talk about Nick Rosine once in a while too on this podcast, but to hear, to hear him like root you on and say, come on, keep going, you can do it. And then there are times when I was doing box jump burpees, and you had to do it for, I forget how many, was it a minute straight? Yeah. 10 minutes straight. And you could as soon as you got 10 done, you could take a break until the next minute started. And so I was like, yes, I'm golden, right? No, never fucking stopped for 10 minutes doing box jump fucking burpees. And it was horrible. And the worst part was just Nick and me and another guy.
You can't hide.
I can't hide.
You
can't hide. Can't find a spot to hide out. And I was, towards the end, I was just sucking air, just horrible sucking air. And he goes, and I remember I stopped, and he goes, yeah, you're not going to, you will not recover in time to feel better. You might as well just keep going. And I was like, oh.
Was that a good thing or a bad thing?
It was a good thing. No, it's a good thing, because it made me realize that I was going to have to push myself, because I wasn't going to get what I was hoping to get. I was not going to recover. Me stopping for 10 seconds to try to catch my breath wasn't going to do me any good. I was not going to be able to catch my breath. So you might as well keep on pushing, because you're not going to get the relief you expect until it's over with. And then that, for me, I was like, oh, okay, that I can handle. So I play these little fucking mind tricks on myself all the time. I'll wake up at night and 4 o'clock in the morning, I'll be like, oh, fuck. Boy, I wonder if I transferred that money over there. Did I get that taken care of? Like, I'll wake up and think about things like that once in a while. Yeah. And I do these little fucking mind tricks to get myself to think about something else, or I do arithmetic in my head, because it's emotional reactions that are getting you to wake up and think about this stuff, right? Fear, that kind of the things you were talking about. And if you get your mind to start being analytical and start thinking of doing logical things, then you can start logically thinking. So my kids sometimes, when they lose their shit, I'll be like, you look really upset. What's 5 times 5? 25. Oh, awesome. What's 7 times 7? Your favorite number, Dad? 79 or 49? I'm like, yeah.
79. Oh,
Nope, that's not right. 49. So, I mean, and then you get them thinking logically, and then you can start addressing things. And so that's what I do with myself. I'll start thinking logical things and math and things that are a little more structured. And then I can go, okay, you got that covered. So calm the fuck down, and I can go back to sleep. So I wonder if this whole mental toughness thing, where did we start out with? I just went down a horrible track, and I don't even know where I started.
I don't know.
It was American Horror Story. Actors. I don't like doing this on air. This is terrible. I can't remember what it was.
You were talking about mental toughness. You were talking about...
But why the fuck did I talk about mental toughness?
Because you were like, if my kids are acting emotionally, then I have them do some art.
But what the fuck did it have to do with what we were just talking about then?
Okay, let me. I'm gonna save you.
Stop.
No, I'm gonna save you. I'm gonna save you. You ready?
I'm ready.
Here's the when I think that there's a plan. I'm not really religious. I'm spiritual, but I'm not religious.
Okay.
And sometimes it's too creepy how things fall into place, and you're like, oh, what? Why did this happen and this happen and this happen? Right. So here's my example. You contacted me and you're like, hey, I really want to do a podcast. I'm like, all right. You told me nothing about it. Mm-hmm. You didn't tell me what you wanted to talk about, nothing. And then I watched American Horror Story, and my wife and I's jaws are on the ground, and I'm like, holy shit. I wonder, like, there's so many different things that fall into that American Horror Story. Like, I wonder if Trump's going to freak the fuck out because he's going to be, there's no way to not feel like you're being represented as the Antichrist.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, you're painted in such a vile way that people are reacting like this. And there were so many things that went into this, and then we were talking about, and I was thinking about mental toughness because one of the one actor loses her shit throughout the whole first episode, and then, are you staying with me? Mm-hmm. Then this morning, I had a phone call, and Mike Gillette wanted to do something in the studio. So Mike Gillette comes in, and if you don't know who Mike Gillette is all about mental toughness, and he helps coach and helps people strengthen and get in the proper mindset for life. And it helps in all different aspects of life. And so he came in this morning and was talking all about this. And when he was done recording, I thought, Mike, there's so many great things about what you're saying. And I think one of the areas that we suffer in this country is mental toughness. You can't say that you're mentally tough if all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, why didn't the MSNBC put a trigger warning on the news before they told us Trump was going to be the president? When I heard that on American Horror Story, I just fucking busted out laughing because some fragile little snowflake out there probably really said that.
Right.
Because that is our culture anymore, where they're not mentally tough enough to say, oh, well we're just going to deal with it. Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean,
the sun's going to come out tomorrow.
And I think mentally tough for sure. And then on top of that, being understanding. And understanding doesn't have to be, I understand everything somebody is thinking about. It's being understanding of, okay, this is just a situation right now. And I can be understanding to that. It's like I can be understanding to a Nazi who's sitting here. I can be understanding and see where he's coming from. I don't agree with anything, but I can be understanding where they're coming from. You start developing understanding, and then you can start bridging gaps. You still might not like each other, but at least you can be in the same room with each other. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Understanding is a big part of that because you can be mentally tough, but if you aren't willing to be open to understand other people's points of view, you're fucked. You're not going to get anywhere. You're always going to feel antagonistic. You're always going to feel like taking a side or being on a team and, you're over there and I'm here.
Right.
If you don't have understanding. Us versus them, always. When you start developing understanding, then it changes. But then some people just don't even want to fucking deal with that.
But can you have understanding? To me, when I think about this, when I think about understanding what you're talking about, I think that is like a couple of steps away from self-assuredness. I'm not going to fall apart. I'm not going to have a heart attack. I'm not going to crumble to dust because somebody called me this or that or another thing.
Mm-hmm.
Sticks and stones, baby.
Right.
Sticks and stones. Whereas that saying is gone now to a lot of people. Some people, you say something to them and they fucking crumble.
Right.
Their day is ruined. I mean, I can go to work, somebody can call me a fag, and I laugh and blow it off, and then I go about my day and I forget about it 5 minutes later. Why? Because sticks and stones. Who gives a shit? That's part of growing up, right? Understanding that whatever you say to me right now, if you don't lay hands on me, I'm in charge of my day.
Right. Exactly.
I'm in charge of my day. I'm either going to choose to be angry or sad or depressed or whatever. That's my choice. You aren't doing it to me. I'm choosing to be this way. You know what? I really got to give it up to my first wife for this one. Because Jessica really pounded that into my head. She really made it a point of saying, you're choosing to be mad. I'm not making you mad. You're choosing to be mad.
Yeah. You may not like what I'm saying, but that doesn't
You
give
may not like what I'm doing.
Right.
But you're choosing to yell and scream or punch the bookcase or whatever you're doing. You're choosing to do that. I'm not making your fist hit that bookcase.
Right. But that goes back, I think.
Which by the way, really hurts. I would never recommend punching a bookcase.
But it goes what you're saying. That's that 2 levels up of being self-aware.
Yeah.
Right? That understanding is what you're talking about. Being self-aware, so, okay, I have a choice. I am in control of this whole situation. This person can be right in my face, screaming at me, calling me a Nazi, doing whatever, and I can be like, hey, man, sorry you feel that way. And be okay with it. Are you a Nazi? Then we get upset.
You don't even have to say, I'm sorry you feel that way.
In my own head, I'm thinking like, oh, well, sorry you feel that way. I'm going to go do my own thing. I mean, that's the self-dialogue that I would be having. Like, okay. It's not my deal.
All right. But then once you feel safe, once you know who you are and what's going on around you, then maybe you can open yourself up to understanding. Then maybe, because if I'm sitting across from somebody and I think that person is in no way going to fly across the table and attack me, then I can be like, all right, so what do you got to say? I can listen instead of preparing myself to react.
Oh, sure. Is it a part of like fight or flight? Is there an aspect of us as human beings at a biological level that when something happens to us, we right away react to it? Is it because we aren't stressed and when life is pretty cake for us so that we have to find shit to get upset about and get angry about? Is that part of it?
I think right now this is a learned thing. Not right now. I think
what's a learned thing?
The way that we interact with one another is a learned thing. We are influenced by what's on the radio, by what's on TV, by what's being said on social media, by people saying, you can't use the R word anymore.
Right.
You can't use the R word. Why? Because some people are going to disintegrate. And they're going to lose their shit because you've used a word.
Yeah.
And they feel like if you use that word, you're going to slap them and their child.
Right.
But, so we're influenced by that stuff. But, back to Mike Gillette. Now, Mike didn't say, hey, by the way, Matt, go ahead and talk about me and all my shit today. So whether he would agree with what I'm saying or not, this is how I took him, okay? It's not like he endorses this show.
Not yet.
But what I would look at is what Mike Gillette said. And here's an example of what he said today, which I really liked. He said, and one of the things that we work on or that I stress with any athlete that I'm working with or anybody, we're working towards a goal, right? He's trying to create a mental toughness, and you got to have a goal or a target to want to get to, right? So he's like, at the end of every day, write down 5 things that you did positively to help you get to that goal, right? So he said, have you ever bought a car? Have you ever bought a truck, a Chevy Silverado or something like that? And you're like, oh my God, everywhere I look, there's goddamn Chevy Silverados. Right. I never realized there were so many goddamn Chevy Silverados driving around the town. I never knew that.
Right.
I'm like, yeah. In fact, my wife and I just bought an Acadia, and that's exactly what she said. Like the next day. Oh my God, I'm seeing Acadias everywhere I look. He goes, now take that idea of you've just put an emotion to something. You're all jazzed up about it, and now you're seeing it everywhere, right? I go, yes. He goes, now try to pick out, the more you pick up on positive things, the more you focus on positive things, the more you're going to see positive things around you.
I'm so happy. I saw so many happy things today.
That's just the way it happens.
Sure.
When you're focused on positive things and how you're going to do better at your thing, everything starts reminding you of, oh, my diet. Oh, yeah, I want to do that tonight. Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Look at them. Good for them. They're working out. Good for her. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But when you're wrapped up in, if you don't do that, then you easily do the other thing, which is focus on all the negative shit.
Mm-hmm. And it's easy to do that.
And it is very easy to do that.
Well, I was thinking about the word thing too, mental toughness. I think sometimes we don't give people credit too, because I was playing a game with my family the other night, card game.
Was it Cards Against Humanity?
No, it was not Cards Against Humanity. It was 5 Crowns, one of our favorite games to play.
5 Crowns?
Yeah, it's awesome. Anyways,
okay.
We'll have to bring it over and show you guys sometime. But
nope.
So one of my
I don't want to do it.
Shut up. So one of my sons had kind of a little bit of attitude, but he was joking around, but I was unsure.
Yeah.
And so we were playing cards, and then he said something, and I go, well, you don't have to be a dick about it, right? And the minute I said it, it was inappropriate. He's a child. And then, and so I was like, oh, that wasn't very good. But I didn't think of it at the time. The next day, I was like, I really should say something because I want him calling somebody else a dick. I don't think that's okay. So I should not call him that. So the next day at dinner, when we're all together again, I said, hey, I want to take a second and let you know, I called you a dick the other day. I shouldn't have said that, and I hope it didn't make you feel bad. But I'm just apologizing for saying that. He goes, oh, when did you say that? And I was like, the other day when we were playing cards, and
let me really cement it in your head.
Yeah.
When I did this horrible thing.
And he goes, oh, I didn't think anything of it. And I was like, awesome. Okay, done. And it was just squashed. And so it was a good thing that I thought that he held himself together when I called him a name and didn't get all upset about it. And everybody else didn't see him get upset. And then me apologizing to him for something that I saw as a slight, not that he saw as a slight, was good for my kids to say, hey, I made a mistake. I'm sorry about that. And so he was mentally tougher than I gave him credit for.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah. Am I raising pussies? Is that what you're going to say? Is that what you're going to say? Go ahead, say it.
Are you raising pussies?
No, I'm not.
My question to you and to America and to the world, whoever watches this, here's my question. What's the difference between describing somebody's actions and calling names? Because I in my head, I have a clear distinction between the two. So is there a difference in your mind? Well,
if I want him to understand where I'm coming from, if he has an attitude about something and I'm like, I don't like his attitude, I should have said, hey, what's with the attitude when we're playing this game?
Okay.
If I want him to understand how he's behaving,
right,
then I'm gonna try to be more articulate about how I approach that. Whereas if I just call him a dick and he gets defensive about it, he didn't learn anything other than I call him a name.
Okay.
Now, it has nothing to do with whether he can handle that or not. I agree that he should be able to blow that off. But if I really want him to learn and understand something, then I'm going to be a little bit more thoughtful about what I say. At the same time, I should be able to make a mistake and call somebody a dick, and everybody will be like, all right, big deal.
But aren't we dealing with the understanding of a phrase or the understanding of a name? If I were to say, hey, kid, quit acting like a bully. Am I calling somebody a name? If I said, hey, man, you're acting like a bully, would you condone it or would you say that's bullshit?
Wow, that's a really good question.
Because in my mind,
I don't think it's a bad thing in the way that you're thinking. I think it's a bad thing. I'm thinking of it as
I don't think it's it's a bad thing.
If you really want to get somebody to understand that their behavior and their actions are bully-like.
Yes.
Because if you called me a snowflake, you're a fucking snowflake. Every time you open your mouth, I think fucking snowflake, right? I don't sit here and go, so Matt kind of thinks that blah, blah, blah. I'm like, don't call me a fucking snowflake, right? I mean, my reaction is this way.
Yes.
So if I want to understand what you're saying or what you're trying to get across to me, it's better if you articulate so that I'm not defensive. Now, yes, can I be less defensive about the word snowflake?
All right,
Absolutely.
Let's go back to the word bully.
Okay.
Because to me, this is a very clear example of the importance is the difference between describing somebody's actions and relentlessly teasing and calling names is the difference. And this is the difference.
Okay.
Hey, kid, quit acting like a bully. You know what I'm talking about. I just saw you push her. I just saw you push her down and take her bag. That's being a bully. Stop doing it. Okay? To me, everybody kind of understands what the term bully means. So it's very innocuous. It's very well, yeah.
That makes total sense to me.
No big deal. Hey, kid, don't be a fucking dick.
Right.
You were just a dick. You pushed her down. You took her bag. Don't be a dick. Again, same thing as bully. The kid knows what if you're being a dickhead, that's being a dickhead. In fact, I just said that to my kid the other day.
How about the definition of something? No?
But the problem is, that's it. He understands what being a bully is. He understands what being a dick is. He understands what being an asshole is. You're being rude. You're being mean. But we get hung up on the idea of, oh, that's a bad word. Don't call him names. Don't call him an asshole. Don't call him a dick. Well, what would you rather me call him? How about a bully? Isn't that calling somebody a name too? If I was just chanting bully, you're bully, 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 it doesn't have the same punch.
Right.
You know, if I was teasing somebody or calling somebody names like, oh, there's Reese the retard. Obviously,
right.
That's horrible because of the way we're using it, right? Of the way we're indoctrinating our kids or talking to our children. But if you were to say, hey, Reese, don't be a bully. Your brother just asked you for that football. You chucked it over his head. That's being a bully. Hey, Reese, don't be a dick. That was a serious dick move. Dickheads do that. Don't do that. And to drive the point home, I want you to sprint to that telephone pole and sprint back. And if it's not sprinting the whole way, you're going to sprint again.
So you like to torture your kids on top of...
I like to drive a point home. I like to drive a point home with, oh my God, that sucks so bad. I'm not doing that again. I'm attaching that feeling of this sucks to that terrible action that child had. And when I say, now listen, my kid didn't cry. He didn't fall apart. He wasn't bleeding. I never touched him. I didn't smack him, right. But he did that 3 times. He ran to the telephone pole and back 3 times because I said, that's a bullshit effort. Try. I can tell when you're trying. You need to understand that what you did was unacceptable. The way you treated your brother, that doesn't fly. So do it again and put your effort into it. On the 3rd time he did.
Only 3 times, huh?
And you got to drive your point home. It's like, I'm not going to be a pushover. I'm not going to let you walk and walk and walk and walk.
Right.
Hey, listen, I'm sticking to my guns. This is what I said. So do it. And I guarantee you, if I say, if he goes to toss a football over his brother's head again, I go, Reese, sorry for being a dick, Dad. Malik, I'm sorry for being a dick. Thank you. Now go get the fucking football and play games. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what's the difference? Back to the point. Is there a difference in your mind between calling somebody names and describing somebody's actions?
I guess not.
So you still think it's the same thing?
I'd still say it was the same thing. I think it's just 2 different approaches.
Right, but you clearly were for.
Bit...
You were clearly for. Don't be a bully. I'm not calling him a name. I'm describing his action.
And that could just be my opinion about how we interact with kids. It could just be my point of view on that.
Right.
I don't think it's necessarily wrong, but it's just a name.
But to me, this is the disconnect. To me, this is the disconnect between feelings and logic. The disconnect between people crying because Trump won and the understanding that the sky's not falling. You know, I describe somebody's actions. You are acting like this.
Right.
And I guarantee you when I say this next example, people's heads are going to fucking explode. When I say, quit acting like a bitch.
Right.
I'm telling you, the way you're acting is like a bitch.
Right.
Do you want to be a bitch? Is that what your goal is? Do we all understand what this is? Think about how you're acting.
So are you doing a social experiment?
It's not a social experiment. It's just...
What if they become adults and they're in the workplace and they're just like, hey, stop being a fucking dick. And somebody goes, I'm your boss. You think you need to pack your bags? No?
You really think that somebody's going to talk to you?
I don't know.
No.
If I'm raised that words don't mean anything.
Hey, listen. Generally, what's happening right now is when people go to work, they are watching their words. I've been a supervisor. I've had people swear at me before.
Really?
Yeah. All the time. Because I wasn't that great of a supervisor. But I can acknowledge that.
You don't think that so
no,
people do it anyways.
Even in the workplace, people will say, listen, let's just have a frank conversation. What's the problem? I think the problem is you're a dick. Why? Because you do this and this and this. What's the difference between me saying that and going, you're micromanaging? Not much. Not much of a difference. But if I said, hey, Reese, you're being a dick because you did this, this, and this. Or if I said, hey, Reese, you're micromanaging. He's not going to fucking My point is, does my kid understand the definition of the word?
Right.
Does he understand what these words are? He wouldn't understand micromanaging. He wouldn't understand some of the words that we would use in corporate lingo.
Oh, sure. Sure. But I mean, but what you're doing is you're developing those languages. And you're developing that understanding.
But we're not going to erase that word. We're not going to erase retard. We're not going to erase all these pieces of American literature, right? Or not literature, but grammar. We're not going to get rid of that stuff, right? And if somebody wants to if I'm working with somebody and I've given that person all the time in the world and they're being really rude to me, and I can say, hey, Sandy, I need to understand why you're acting like a bitch. That is your attitude. That's the way you treat me.
Would that not get you in trouble? If Sandy went to said, hey, Shane called me a bitch. I don't know, I know he was trying to do this, this, and this, but why is he calling me a bitch?
Generally, we don't start out with just the harsh. You know what I'm saying? But
so
at some
you
point,
work your way up to bitch?
Yeah. But the problem is like what we're seeing now anymore. Like people, I think there's a comedian that actually talks about
police. I'm not about word policing.
But there's a comedian that actually talks about this right now. Like, let's say you're at Walmart or you're at Target and you're in the checkout lane. And all of a sudden, this guy walks up and he gets in the lane. He's like, "Whoa!" And he starts talking very inappropriately. "Hey, lady! Oh man, I can't wait to go fuck my wife." Everybody starts looking at the receipts, or they start looking at the prices of candy bars really quickly. Nobody's gonna turn around and go, "You know what? Maybe this isn't the place to talk like that." Probably not the place to talk like that. People are so afraid of confrontation. They're so afraid of talking. Because we have put the word police on everybody. And just like what you were saying earlier with the podcast, with Joe Rogan's podcast, people, even those guys, even the two guests that were on, were so nervous about discussing things that they should be able to discuss.
Right.
Why? Because one, self-assuredness. I know that person's not going to fly over the table and hurt me. I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to talk to you. I'm not going to call you names. I'm going to describe how you're acting. What if I said, man, you're being really lazy? I'm not calling you names.
Right.
Right? Some people would say, yeah, you are. You're shaming that child. You're shaming them into feeling like they're always lazy. No, I'm describing their action. You sat on that couch all day long. You watch TV. You're being lazy, bud. Get up. Let's move. I have all these things that we can do today. You haven't done any of them. You're being lazy. This is laziness. Oh, no, we can't say that. Don't call them names. So I think there's a clear difference between describing somebody's actions and calling them names. One is shaming and one is, hey, wake up. Wake up. Hello.
Do you think that we should get rid of the word police stuff, and so language is just language no matter what it is, and you're either tough enough to handle it or you're not?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Just cut and dry.
Absolutely. And if you said something that I really didn't like, I should be able to say, hey, Todd, listen, man, I got kids walking around. I don't want you to call people dickheads. You know? Oh, okay.
Right.
I know that when I'm at Matt's place, I should probably watch my language because he watches his language around his kids.
Did you switch that around on purpose on me?
Yeah.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
I thought people listening would be like, what? Oh, yeah, that's right. No, he's probably being sarcastic. Yes. Yes, I'm being sarcastic. I also feel like I'm raising kids. I'm raising young adults who, when they walk out in the world, if somebody says, hey, man, don't be a dickhead, they're not going to fall apart. You know? And they're going to be able to say to themselves, hopefully, with enough love and nurture and guidance, they'll be able to say, was I? Was I acting like a dickhead? Huh. I don't know.
And if I was,
I want
to be aware of it and not do that anymore.
And why should I be pissed at you for putting the spotlight on the fact that I was acting like a dickhead?
Right.
I'm the one that's at fault here, not you, because you pointed it out. You know, it's kind of a silly example, but I always tell people, you know what? You kind of stink. I don't know if you've had a bad day or something. If I stunk, I would want somebody to tell me that I stink. Mm-hmm. If I got bad breath, hey man, why don't you go brush your teeth? Do you want a Tic Tac? You know, is that rude? No, I think all of us have all said at some point or another, you know what, man? Oh my God. Because you've smelled somebody else.
Right.
Somebody else has set that trigger off in your nose and you're like, oh, God damn, that's like 3-day-old stale body odor where you just didn't wash your clothes, you slept them, and you got up again.
Well, if you have a teenager, you know, it's like.
So you say to your teenager, hey, man, don't just put Axe body spray on. Take a shower. You stink. I would want somebody to tell me that.
Sure.
So that's all we're doing. We're pointing out somebody's deficiencies. And you have to be strong enough mentally and emotionally for me to say, hey, Todd, kind of think what you said was fucked up. Or, hey, Todd, I don't like the way you backhanded your lady. Or, hey, Todd, when you were visually groping the waitress, I could tell that it was making your lady uncomfortable. All those things we should be able to say to one another without us falling the fuck apart. And by the way, Trump won the election. You know what I mean?
Yes, I know what you mean.
So I think there was something divine in our podcast today.
That was all set up for us to have this discussion?
It seems fairly
yeah.
serendipitous.
Well, it's weird too is I was talking with Junior and he was possibly being deployed to Houston.
Yeah.
Well, because Irma is fucking barreling right towards Mississippi, that they're making him stay put because they might need his services right there because it's going to come ashore right in that little beautiful curve where Louisiana and Mississippi and stuff are. So, and right now I think Irma has killed a bunch of people in the Bahamas. So it's already considered a killer storm coming right towards and there's 3 storms in the Atlantic right now. Hurricanes, yeah. Irma's the worst. And we just started the hurricane season. Like it's just starting. So we're not even into the middle of like normal hurricane season. We have 4 on the books now already. It's kind of weird. It's crazy.
Well, you're right. It's weird. It's crazy. There's powerful storms happening. The idea that we should be focusing on how can we help? How do we react to Mother Nature?
Right.
What I'm glad you didn't say was global warming, huh? We should probably start dealing with this whole global warming thing.
I should have went, Trump, damn you. 4 hurricanes in 1 month. God damn it.
All because of Trump.
God.
But see, that's the thing I think people should focus on. Instead of trying to figure out a way to get back to their talking points, like, oh, shit, looks like some tough weather's coming. We're going to have to figure out how to help people out. What should people be doing? What should we really be focusing on? Oh, reality. Oh, how if my roof's going to blow off my house? Not so much Trump's tweets.
Right. Yeah.
Because who gives a shit? You're still going to have a roof over your head because Trump put out a tweet.
Right.
You're still going to be able to put food in your mouth even though Trump tweeted. That fucking hurricane coming through might fuck up both those things.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty scary. And I mean, is global warming attributing to the hurricane issue? I don't even know if that's possible. Is it?
Why do you have to, I just said don't go down that road.
No, you said at least you didn't say that, but then it made me think, like, is that part of the whole global warming thing? Is that's we have worse hurricanes?
I've actually heard people bring that shit up. And of course, when I say I've heard people bring it up, it's because I was going through YouTube videos, and people have, obviously brought that together. It's like, oh God, that doesn't help anything. You're not helping anything with bringing that up.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how can we help people.
Well, and I keep hearing that, like, the Red Cross is one of the best places to give your money to because they really are boots on the ground there. But I hear things that there's other private places that do a better job. Because, I mean, there's that whole thing about how you, I want to say Joe Rogan, again, had somebody on talking about be very careful of the charities that you give money to because 90% of that dollar you give goes to administration fees and people might get 10 cents of your dollar. And I was like, well, that's fucked. So how do you know? I mean, how do you know where to give your money to? Because my kids did something for school, I think, and gave money. They all did extra chores to get money to give to this thing. And because we don't give money away for free. You got to put some fucking work in to get money. That's how I'm training my kids.
I actually don't give to any charities. I could be going through the grocery line or getting gas or something. Hey, would you like to give to this? Would you like to give to that? No, thanks. If I choose to, I'll do it. I'll donate my time or money in a different way.
Right.
I actually think, now this is going to sound very foo-foo.
Oh. Sweet.
You ready for this?
I can't wait.
Super delicate, Matt. I actually feel like everybody should focus on this first. And once you're the fucking Gandhi of this, then you can kind of move on to donating money and do all this other fucking bullshit where you're like, look at me. Do you know how much money I gave to Goodwill? Or whatever.
It's so strange. I gave them all my old CDs. They're lucky they got something from me.
Do you have any idea how much I donated? Relax.
Anyways.
This is what I think everybody should work on. This is what I think everybody should fixate on. Being a good person. And when I say being a good person, I mean show up to fucking work with a smile on your face. I mean, focus on the positive things in life. Tell your wife that you love her. Tell your husband that you love him. Show your kids that you can still have fun when you're fucking 45 years old. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. When people think of you, and this goes for everybody who's listening or watching. When people think of you, does that put a smile on their face? What do you think? When you imagine somebody thinking of you.
Yeah.
I know of one person that when they think of you, she gets really pissed off and she's got a really angry look on her face. But in general,
yeah.
Ask yourself, do I put a smile on the faces of my coworkers? Mm-hmm. Because that impacts a lot.
Right.
When I go to work, if I see patty cake, my fucking day is made. Patty cake is the most positive, sweetest lady I've ever met. Well, besides my wife and my mom. But she makes my fucking day. And when she retires, it's going to be a little bit darker around my workplace. And there's people that show up at work who are fucking Debbie Downers who negatively impact my fucking day.
Right.
And if you
not unless you let them. If we're going to go back to
not unless I let
before.
them, but a lot of times I do let them until I can pull myself out of that funk.
Right.
But if you go to work, if you start your day and you try to impact somebody's life in a positive way, to at the very least, even if it means being silly and self-deprecating, because I'll do that. Mm-hmm. I know I put a smile on his face and her face and their face. And I don't give a shit if they think, Jesus Christ, Matt's a goofy son of a bitch.
Right.
That's all right, because for the next 3 or 4 hours, you're going to think back what I just did, and you're going to fucking laugh, hopefully. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I would say start there first, because that impacts...
Start with yourself.
So many more people's days and impacts so many more people's lives and their experience throughout that day, they might react to something down the road way differently because you reminded them of something fun.
Well, and I think that's such a good point. And I'm a big Eckhart Tolle fan because he made a point of saying you are not your thoughts. So what you think about on a daily basis running through your head, that's not you. You are, when in the quiet moments, when you're silent with yourself, that's who you are. All the shit that runs through your head, what meditation talks about quieting your mind, that's who you are. That's you being in the present moment. All the fucking thoughts that roll through your head aren't you. You're having those thoughts, but those thoughts are not who you are. And then my son's therapist this morning, she said, it just popped in my head, so I wanted to share it with you. She said to my son, who can't sit still to save his fucking life, she said, I thought I was close. I apologize. The thoughts that you have, you don't have to act on that thought. And so it kind of goes along with it. So if I'm sitting down, I'm trying to read, and I think, oh God, I gotta go to the bathroom. Oh God, I should get a drink of water.
Well, you actually
really
should
hungry.
react to that thought. I gotta go pee. Get up and go pee.
Maybe you just wait. Maybe you just fucking.
Maybe you just lay there and piss your pants.
Maybe it's so hard to get you to sit down
and ruin your bed where you and your lady make love, and you piss on the idea and the sanctuary of lovemaking. Todd.
Wow, that was crazy. Crazy.
I guarantee you, every time I feel like I need to piss, I get up and piss.
Well, let me tell you that my sons will do every little thing that pops in their head, so they don't have to sit down and read a book.
Okay, sure.
So that was the context that I was going for. So I want them to think that just because you have a thought pop in your head, yes, if your bladder's screaming, empty it. But most of the time you don't. So, I'm getting kind of hungry. I should have a snack. You should be fucking focusing on what you're reading. Oh, I'm getting kind of thirsty. Got it? I mean, it's like the, squirrel. It's like you can't. So you don't have to give into these thoughts. And I think understanding that you are not your thoughts.
Yeah.
If there are things that pop into your head, you don't have to follow them. You don't have to react to because when somebody calls you a dick, you get offended. And so you react to that offense, right? Instead of being like, okay, good on you. You called me a dick. I know I'm not a dick, so I don't have to react on that, right?
How do you know you're not acting like a dick? You don't just assume
that I'm not, because I can be a real dick sometimes.
Don't just assume that you're not, because I think that's actually another thing.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
That is very prominent is none of us like to see what we're doing wrong. None of us do. Great example. I probably said it before on the podcast. There was a woman I used to work with. We had a shift briefing. And at the shift briefing, our lieutenant had said, hey, by the way, we're having a really hard time with rotation, so let's make sure that when we get relieved, we rotate on a timely basis, right? We're going boop, 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 and we're moving on, right? So this woman, I relieve her. She's supposed to move on and go relieve somebody else, okay? I relieve her, and she goes, Matt, you know what they said this morning at shift briefing about people not rotating on time? I go, yes, I do. I remember that. You know who really has a hard time doing that? And she went on to talk for the next 10 to 15 fucking minutes about all the other people who rotate terribly.
And didn't include
she
herself.
did not see that she was doing the exact thing that she was complaining about. I think all of us have a really hard time seeing our own faults. I know I do. And because I know that I do, I'll say stuff like, I'll make sure I say stuff like, hey, you know what? I know I'm probably sounding like a hypocrite right now. I'm sure I've done some shit like this before. But when you do that, it's kind of fucking everybody over. You know what I mean? I'll include myself. I try to include myself in. I obviously have made this mistake before. Like all of us do. None of us are perfect. So I'm giving you some coaching. Let me help you out here. Let me bring some light to what you're acting like. I've been there. I know we all do this, but I don't know if you see it in yourself, But I think we all have a hard time doing that. So if I call you a dick, I would really hope the very first thing you're thinking of is,
was I really being a dick?
Was I being a dick?
Is that self-awareness up 2 notches higher you're talking about?
I hope so. I hope people think, was I being stupid? Was I being a dick? Was I being ungrateful? Was I being rude? Was I being any of these things that somebody might say to me? Just for a second. Let me think. Nope. I'm good. Or, I care about your opinion. Was I being rude? You know what I was. I'm sorry. I apologize for being rude. And this is like, obviously, the ideal situation. Can we be thoughtful? Can we take the moment and really reflect on what somebody has said? Do I care about that person's feelings? Yes, I do. Okay. You know what I was? I was being a dick.
Right.
I'm sorry about that.
You have to be a little introspective.
Yeah, you can't automatically go, because that's what people do when they don't want to see anything wrong with themselves.
Right.
Hey, man, you're kind of fucking people over by just standing here talking and talking and talking and talking and talking.
And you were just talking about it.
Get on. Don't you see this?
Right.
Don't become that which you hate.
Right.
You hate these people. You're bitching about these other people doing the exact same thing that you're doing right now. Don't become that which you hate.
And I can't think of too many blatant examples like that, though. That's really good. I haven't had too many examples where somebody was doing exactly what they are complaining about. I do work with some people that are so completely unaware of where they're at that I've gotten to the point of saying, so is this a job that you think you want to keep on doing? Because you seem really miserable.
I got in a lot of trouble for saying that to somebody when I was a supervisor.
Really?
I said, there's a lot of jobs out there. Maybe you should find one that would make you happy.
What did that get you in trouble for?
Well, I was also said I was sexually harassing somebody for saying that they smelled like methane. So I don't know.
Meth lab will do that to you.
Well, Matt, when two men have intercourse, generally they put their penis in the bottom of the other. Did I tell you this example?
What?
Did I tell you this?
Are you fucking with me?
I'm not fucking with you. I'm going to tell you this honestly happened to Matt. This honestly happened to me in my past. And this is honestly the HR guys fucking connecting of dots.
I can't wait.
When I got asked to go to up to human resources. Matt, it was brought to our attention that you had made the comment that somebody's breath smelled like methane this morning. I said, that's correct. I was making my rounds at the beginning of shift and seeing if anybody needed anything and, having a little small talks, how everybody was doing, kind of getting a gauge of where people are at emotionally and, did they get enough sleep and, just attentively, like what kind of mood are people in. And I was at a machine where there was 3 people who worked together as a team to get the product out the door. And I had asked one of the 3 if this component that he was working on for 2 hours the day before, if it was going to be ready soon. And his response was, well, I'm only one guy. I can't do it all. And you're right. I did say methane because I looked at his 2 partners and I said, does anybody else smell methane? Meaning, I'll walk you through the steps here. Have you ever heard the phrase, pull up your pants, shit's getting deep? Have you ever heard that? He goes, well, yes. And I go, yeah, it's a play on words. I was making a similar comment, methane smells like shit. He goes, yes. Matt, that's exactly what I wanted to talk to you about. You see, when two consenting men make love to each other, one may put his penis into the rear end of another man, therefore getting some fecal matter on his penis, and then if Matt they transition to another sexual position and one puts that one's penis in the other one's mouth, there may be residual fecal matter in that person's mouth, therefore giving the presence of a methane type smell coming out of their mouth.
Is this one of those?
And I said, can I just go home for 3 days? Because this is fucking stupid. Clearly, you have stretched the boundaries of reality to make these fucking points click together.
Right.
And because you're even taking 2 seconds to try to make this a sexual harassment issue by me saying, does anybody else smell methane? As in, the shit's getting deep with all your fucking excuses. the fact that you're even entertaining this,
Right.
I think I should probably just go home for 3 days. Is that an option? Because I'm not fucking apologizing. He goes, yeah, I think that'd be probably a good idea. Why don't you go home and take some time off?
Unpaid?
No, I was salary. I got paid. I was like,
Oh.
fuck it, I'm going to go home then. Why would I want to deal with this bullshit?
Wow.
But there's a little example from Matt's life.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and that legitimately happened.
Oh, it's
100%.
Oh, I was saying it's
100%.
crazy that somebody would take their penis out of their butt and put it in
Oh,
somebody's
right,
mouth.
because ass to mouth.
Ass to mouth is just
The
not
whole
a good
ATM thing is
It's
just
not a good thing. It's not a good thing. Just don't do it. Just don't do it, you guys. I don't know. That's the moral of the story. Just don't.
Just don't do that.
Just don't do that. It's really horrible.
2 girls,
So-
1 cup. It'll scare you.
Oh,
Scare you and scar you.
I don't.
Look at
Did
you.
not want to
Full
think
body
about.
shivers.
I didn't want to think about that today.
All right.
The day was going really well. There was another thing I wanted to talk to you about because
Oh,
we should probably
Jesus.
transition from ass to mouth to not Trump.
Is that
No. Now I'm
this
totally.
this is great for everybody listening at home.
Yeah.
So let's. I'm going to go over real quick while you're trying to collect your thoughts. I will recap what we've talked about really quickly. One, Todd started out the conversation with bringing up people and being too sensitive. No, it was the Joe Rogan's podcast. You brought that up. You were
being
talking about
too
how
worried to talk.
Too worried to talk. Exactly. And then from there we transitioned over to American Horror Story, which is phenomenal this season, and I would highly endorse. I would encourage you all to watch this season of American Horror Story because it plays on what's happening right now in America, I think.
And you can't even say that it's extremes because those things did happen. People lost their shit.
It's the extremes, but those extremes are becoming more normal.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
And that's what scares me. And so then we transitioned from that to mental strength and acuity. And we brought up Mike Gillette a little bit. And I just got done telling a story about methane. So there you go. I mean, that's a great show right there. But Todd, you have some more things. What do you want to bring up?
I don't have anything else. I don't feel like talking about it. That was just that rendition of everything was so great. But have you heard? I mean, everybody's talking about Trump and the things that that's happening and his hurricane relief stuff and his giving money. Have we heard anything else about North Korea since? I mean, are things calmed down about North Korea now? No. Are they still threatening to bomb Guam and shit like that?
They have fired a missile over Japan.
Wow. Oh shit. So they just. Irma is now the most powerful storm ever recorded in the Atlantic Ocean. The wind speeds at the eye of the storm. That's fucking crazy. Wow.
You say that with a weird glint in your eye.
I think that anything Mother Nature
And the power of Mother
and the
Nature
power
just-
so that you realize that you are fucking nothing. We are just another organism on this planet.
Right.
It's going to function the way it functions,
Sure.
and we are along for the ride. And if you don't want to have it affect you, live in Iowa. Don't live in Miami.
Well, we still
Don't
have
live in-
tornadoes, but
Oh yes, but they're
But what I would say is this should bring back the importance of the word awesome.
yes.
You're in awe. It is awesome.
It's like the forest fire. Nobody wants forest fires, but you saw something incredible in that. Like you saw,
Yeah.
it changed your point of view or your
It was
perspective on
stunning.
something. It was
It
amazing.
was stunning, yeah.
So I mean, I feel a lot for the people that are in the path of these things, but you can't discount the fact that Mother Nature is really kicking the shit out of us right now. But it's only kicking the shit out of us because we're not one with it. If you didn't,
I don't think there's really anything that you could have done to be like, you know what? I'm one with Mother Nature right now.
or you don't
I
live on the
have-
coast.
I have an in-ground home. I have a bunker system, and these things that just came through, I'm totally fine with. I sway like the palm trees.
Right. Well, it's like the same thing. If you don't want to be involved in earthquakes, don't live in California. Or, if you don't want to be underwater because of a huge storm that hits, then don't live on a coast. I mean, you have choices to make.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? So I mean, you have. I mean, so to me, the lesser of the evils is tornadoes. But I just heard a story when we had a lot of bad storms in Iowa this this fall, and they had some big tornadoes that came through and tore up some towns pretty good. I had a friend of mine who videotaped off her porch of this tornado going by, and it went in a straight line, didn't curve towards them at all. But at one point, it was pretty close, and you hear somebody in the background going, "Maybe we should go to the basement." And I think
the tornado is just waving as it goes by them.
Exactly. And so, but you watch, they could see that it was. I mean, they had time. If it did turn towards them, they could turn and run to the basement and be fine.
Maybe. Unless a piece of debris was flying.
Right. It was far enough away that it wouldn't have hit them. But anyways,
All
it was far enough away. But it went across a gravel road and hit the farm across down a little ways. And again, it looks cool. Then you look really close and you see 30-foot pine trees and their root systems swinging around in the air. And you're like, oh, okay. So what you thought was a cool YouTube video for a second, you're just like, oh, okay. It can pull full-grown trees
awesome.
out of the, yeah, it's incredible.
I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm saying it's
incredible.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then I had a friend of a friend whose grandmother or aunt lived up there. She's 80 years old. She was the same hurricane, same tornado came by her house, and she thought because usually hurricane or tornadoes are really loud and they're wrecking things, so it's loud. She thought she heard the garage door open, so she went upstairs and opened the door, and the tornado sucked her out and threw her across the yard. And she landed, and then the garage door from the house, the ones that kind of roll up, it was swirling around, and it fell on top of her, didn't hurt her. She only had like bruises and some little cuts. She was totally fine with the tornado. The tornado sucked her out of the doorway onto the ground.
Yeah.
So it was just going by. She was catching the tail end of it. But it was so quiet that she didn't realize.
2 things.
It's awesome. And what else?
All right, 3 things. It's awesome. I once dated a girl in Canada. You wouldn't know her. A friend of a friend's grandmother. Really? Okay.
Or aunt or something. Yeah.
And 3.
What?
I once dated a girl in Canada. You would know her. What? You can't? Really? I had a friend of a friend's grandmother who got stuck. Actually, number 3 was going to be this. I apologize. I forgot what number 3 was going to be, so I redid number 2. But what number 3 is, this is what number 3 is. Ready?
I'm ready. Always ready for you.
Good Lord, how do you know it wasn't a demon?
What the fuck is that?
How do you know it's not a demon? It's tornado. Mother Nature, that's just another name for demons. Praise the Lord, hallelujah. That woman went up, poked her head out the door, and a demon grabbed her, threw her across the road, and then she got all fucked up from a demon.
Why would you say that?
Why wouldn't you?
Are you hoping to segue? Because I don't know if that's going to work. I just don't.
Dude,
think that's
when you
gonna
were
work.
telling that story, I thought, okay, well, this might be one of the most vague fucking stories I've ever heard.
I'll give you that.
And then the old lady gets whipped, sucked right out of her home. And I thought, a demon could probably do that. So in my head,
that's why you went
So
there.
in my head, I had this whole kind of funny thing going on while you're talking. So I really wasn't listening to everything you said.
I don't think
but
so.
But wait. The roll up garage door fell on her. She was hurt just a little bit, but she survived.
But she
See, I heard it was
survived.
it was fucking up the farm across the street. But that's all I thought of was this person going, that was not nature. That was a divine moment. It was a demon, and she hadn't been praying. And so that's I thought it'd be funny. Sorry about that.
I'm sure there's somebody in Japan who's really laughing hard right now.
Oh, Matt son.
No,
I kill me.
I think that Mother Nature is something to be revered. The minute we start going, well, I mean, that's part of my problem with it, is that people are like, oh, what can we do to mitigate this? How can we change this? I'm like, you can't do it. You can't do it. Whether we've skewed things in our ecosystem.
The goddamn levees weren't up to code.
Well, I'm just thinking that we can't just, it's hard for me to keep thinking about how can we change our environment so that we can suffer less with nature, and if we start kind of going with the tide and figuring out how to work with things, it might be a lot better.
Huh. That
Isn't that
kind
crazy
of
idea?
correlates back to language.
Oh.
And instead of bubble wrapping the whole fucking world thinking that we can, maybe we just learn to deal with adversity more than saying, why didn't they put a trigger warning up on CNN before they said Trump won? I can't believe they didn't put up a trigger warning. Why don't you learn to handle shit? Why don't you learn that we can't control Mother Nature? We can't control the fact that there's going to be floods. And yeah, maybe we can mitigate it a little bit because maybe the levees should have been better. But maybe we need to realize that shit's going to get real. We're super pampered as a species. And yeah, there's suffering. There's suffering for sure in the human race. And we have almost 8 billion people on this world. And at times, Mother Nature, which we cannot control, is going to kick us square in the teeth. And we need to be able to respond to that without falling the fuck apart.
Yeah, and I think it's good to realize too that we're not supposed to be expanding this quickly on this planet, population-wise.
Who says? Prove it.
Well, I guess up to this point,
I was thinking of my friend Rocky Lyons.
Oh,
in the last podcast he did. Yeah, prove it. Tell me why. Tell me why you think that.
Because I think that we've done such a great job of curing sickness, feeding people. When there's famines, they get food in there. I mean, people, not everything's perfectly covered. But up to this point, we've got things really covered when it comes to helping people. People can get help really quickly now. And because of that, I think we've got ourselves into a position with, like you said, about the population of the planet, where we're almost unable to keep this growth going. It's like the stock market. We're talking about, well, how much is enough?
Infinite growth. It just goes on forever and ever. At some point it has to break. Yeah.
And I think the same thing is going to happen, where we get to the point where things shut down because we just can't sustain this many people. And I think there's a book, I think it's by Friedman, it's called Flat
Earthers?
No, it's not Flat Earthers, but it's Flat Something and Hot. And it's about how we've leveled the playing field so well in the world that now, people in China can get air conditioners. Before that, they couldn't. And now we have another billion people that are now going to start using air conditioners and plugging those babies in. And where are we going to get that energy from? And you take that into almost any aspect of, now we've made it accessible to do this. Mm-hmm. Ooh, how is that going to impact everything? And it makes you think of the same thing.
If you look at if we look at our history, cities really expanded once the invention of the air conditioner came on board. It just boomed. The growth boomed. Because all of a sudden now you can pack more people into a smaller space and higher buildings and all this stuff. We'll keep them all cool and comfortable with air conditioners. And the population
boom. Wow. So I just imagine that, unfortunately, at some point there's going to be a catastrophe. That's not just...
There's that positive thinking we were talking about, Todd.
Yeah.
We're always thinking...
No, I don't think it has to. Again, I don't think it has to be one of these things like, oh, don't say anything bad. We hope that doesn't happen.
You know what?
I think it's more of a thing like going,
thank you.
Here's some reality. You probably can't keep doing this. There's no infinite growth when it comes to the population of this planet. Right. It is not possible. Right. And at some point, the system that makes it all work is going to shudder and stop for a little bit. And during that time period, I imagine, millions, if not billions of people are going to die because there has to be a reset at some point. I hope it's not me and my kids, as well as other people hope it's not them and their kids. But it's reality.
As long as it happens after we die, Todd.
As long as it's somebody else who suffers.
As long as it's somebody else who suffers.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm happy as a clam right here.
I actually feel like, you know what, you could be right. They may be right by saying this is the strongest storm ever recorded. But I also feel like we are so pampered as a species, not as Americans or whatever, but we have so many opportunities to live in safe homes. We've separated ourselves from nature so much that anything that impinges on the idea that I might not live to 100 years old, we all go, oh,
right.
Oh my God. this is the most horrible thing ever. How about the fact that we just forgot that it was there? You know, we're not appreciating every moment, and we're just kind of falling into this comatose state of living.
I don't know who said it, but somebody said the minute you're born, you're dying. From that point on, you are down the track that you will die. So the minute you're born, you're now dying.
Yeah, sure.
Then I was like, you can take that badly, or you could say, wow, then I better do everything I fucking can every minute I can, because I know that's the end point. Instead of being like, oh, I got to hold on with both hands. What can I do? Can I take, 13-year-old kid's blood and pump it through my body so I'm younger? You know what I'm saying? Maybe it's like, this is normal and this is okay. And once you realize you're part of this cycle, you're like, okay, I'm part of everything else that goes on, including the bugs and everything else that's in the world. I'm going to be, bug food someday. And that's okay.
No. No.
You don't think it's okay?
No, I don't think that someday you're going to be bug food because you get pumped full of chemicals.
And then you get ask for that now not to happen.
And then you get put into a cement sarcophagi.
Yeah.
And sealed away forever because you are now a biohazard.
Well, that's not going to happen because you and I made a pact a long time ago.
Yeah.
I told my lady this.
We're all going to jail. We're all going to jail except for you because you're going to be dead.
No. Only you. Oh, because I want you to do it.
Okay, say what this is really quickly, and then I want to move on to a really important thing.
That when I die, you're going to take my body. You're going to break into the morgue. You're going to steal me away, and you're going to plant me somewhere. And you can bury me on my dad's property somewhere. I don't care, but I am not going to be embalmed. I'm not going to be put in a sarcophagus. And from what I've been told is now you can request that. Okay. You can request not to do any of that stuff. And then the parent people can take them away, and you're fine.
I'm sure every state has different laws. Look into the laws in your area for corpse stealing and planting. Okay. Along these notes, it's funny how these things kind of come around.
Oh yeah.
But have you seen the recent trend on Facebook? You know how
I've been on Facebook for a while, so I have no idea.
Okay. Well, back in the day, what was it called? Let's see if you remember this because you're old. Do you remember when people would write a letter and they would say, put $1 in and send it to somebody else, and you donate $1 and they put it to somebody else, or they would get a letter in the mail and you're like, it gives you a set of instructions and then you pass it on. Do you remember what those used to be called?
A chain letter?
Chain letter. So these chain letters have been around for a long time.
Okay.
And it's nothing new on Facebook, these chain letters.
Oh, I didn't even know there were chain letters on Facebook.
You get a message, somebody goes, by the way, I care about you, and blah, 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 blah. And if you care about me too, you'll send this back to me, and you'll also send it to 20 of your friends.
Oh, yes, I have. Okay. That's a chain letter?
That's like a chain letter.
That's right? A Facebook chain letter.
Yeah.
Oh, I fucking hate those things.
So I recently got one from my buddy, and when I say buddy, I mean that he was at the 82nd Airborne with me.
Okay.
Okay? So I get one from him, and he's a cop. I'm just going to put that in there. All right. So the message is, hey, man, I love you. And if you die tomorrow, if somebody kills you tomorrow, don't expect to see me at your funeral. I'm paraphrasing. This isn't exactly what it said, but it's very close. I love you. If somebody killed you, I would not be at your funeral tomorrow. I'd be out there hunting down the son of a bitch.
Ooh.
Right?
Wow, that's like an anti-chain letter.
And if you feel the same way, send it back to me because you care about me, and send it to 20 other friends. Right?
I would have loved to get that thing.
Dude, I got this. I can't reach my...
do you want me to get it for you?
I can't do the Star Wars thing. It's not working. The Force doesn't work. No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I was just going to see if I could, but it doesn't work. Anyway, so I get that from this guy. He's a cop. I respond to him. I don't want to say anything. I don't want to be like, fuck yeah, I would. Fucking reply that back. I'm killing some people. Goddamn right, I'm hunting some motherfuckers down. Vigilante, baby. Avenging Angel. That's what they have on the back. That's what I got tattooed on my back. Avenging Angel.
Nice.
No. I wrote back, this is what I said. You're a cop. Are you supposed to be saying this? And then I put, hey man, I loved hearing from you. I hope you're doing well. I hope your family's doing well. Have a great day. Right.
Right.
There was a tiny little interaction back and forth between me and him, but we laughed it off.
Sure.
The next fucking day, I get another one of these sons of bitches.
Same thing?
The same fucking thing about being an avenging angel, go out and kill some motherfucker from another one of my homies from the 82nd Airborne, which, by the way, was when I was 19 for 3 years. It was 3 years of my life that I spent at this place, and I still, I still care about these guys, but they're not like, I don't talk to them all the time. But
you were in the suck together,
right? I was in the suck together, yeah, right. But I get a message from people who I only knew for 3 years, and they're saying, by the way,
I'll be at your funeral.
If somebody kills you, I won't be there. I'll be ripping their fucking head off for you. And I wrote back. I wrote back to this guy because I'm not just going to send it back because I feel like I'm going to be on somebody's watch list.
Right.
I'm going to be on some FBI, fucking CIA watch. I won't be able to get on a plane someday because I responded to this fucking chain
Especially
letter.
if you respond to 20 of them.
Right.
Yes.
And I send out to 20 more, and everybody finds out that I'm a killer. So I respond to this guy, hey, listen, I am actually a little nervous about being on a watch list, and I feel like if I said yes, I would be. But I just want to let you know, I'm really proud of you. When I knew you, you were just a little kid. And you always wanted to be a pilot. At the 82nd, you weren't. You were in the infantry, in the Army, and you always wanted to be in the Air Force as a pilot. That was your goal. And to know that you only have 2.5 more years in the Air Force as a fucking pilot,
wow.
I wanted to let you know that I'm really proud of
That's
you.
badass.
I hope everything's going good for you.
That's neat.
Not,
I'm going to kill a motherfucker. Yeah. So what you're saying is you turned it around and said, instead of just keep on perpetuating this goofy thing that's trying to equate to everybody, I love you enough that I'm going to kill for you, to let me give you some really poignant things. Like, I'm proud of you for accomplishing a goal that you set out for when you were really young. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, but the point, I guess my point of bringing this up was we have forgotten and we make silly, we make light of some of the things that we say and do. And if you really think of the consequences of what might be said or what's going to happen because I've sent a chain letter around the internet saying I'm going to kill people.
Right.
Don't do that. And instead, if I wanted to tell you, if I wanted to translate to you, to remind you, hey, by the way, we only spent 3 years together.
And I still think about you.
And I still think about you, and you're still very important to me, and I really hope that life turned out the way you wanted it to turn out. Hopefully I can buy you a beer someday. That's what I actually said to the guy, the Air Force guy at the end. I'm like, hey, you know what? When you get out in 2.5 years, I hope everything goes safe for you. I hope everything's good, and I hope to buy you a beer someday.
That's awesome.
He's like, yeah, man, that would be awesome.
Well, that goes back to what you were saying before, which is how do you want to be remembered to people? Do you want people to remember you for being somebody that they could count on, that was fun to be around, that you enjoyed your day when you worked with them? Or were they the person who just, even if it's not the wordage that's bad in those things, but, it's superficial. Even that thing is superficial. That it's not really making a connection. It's an easy, lazy connection. Oh, yeah, I do like them, or I don't want them to think badly about me. I'll send that on and share it with everybody because I don't want to be. I don't want to be the dick who doesn't do it. But my kids now are on Instagram? I don't know if it's Instagram or if it's Snapchat, but one of the two.
Tumblr.
No, it's not Tumblr. Not yet. Is you keep this theme going. That's right.
Swipe left.
You keep this theme going, and if you don't keep the theme, if they send it out and you don't keep the theme going, it stops.
Yeah.
And then you're the asshole who didn't keep it going.
That's called peer pressure. Have we ever at any point in our life gone, you know what? Goddamn right, peer pressure. Actually, I have.
Yeah.
But generally we say don't get involved with peer pressure.
But again, it's like sucking you into your technology. If you don't get on this thing and keep this thing going, what's up with you? What's wrong with you? And whereas my kids now see me going, yeah, I'm good. I don't need to fucking hold this thing anymore.
Good. They're not
Park
acting,
it. You know,
they're not
park that
acting like
thing.
little bitches.
Well, and now they're it's a proven fact now. I'll find documentation and maybe put it on here of
Maybe
the addiction of the cell phone. We've talked about that before, that it's an addiction. And so it's like giving your kid crack. They're a young, influential mind, and you give them it, and they're going to want it again and again. And this is, when this thing bings or makes a noise, you know, you're like, oh, fuck, what is it?
it's Pavlov's dog, baby. Pavlov's dog.
It's bad. And the only way you can fucking do it is to get it out of their hands, park it face down, turn the volume off, and let it charge. And you can say, hey, if you want to go check your phone once in a while, that's fine. But you're not going to stand there and fucking mess with it. You can see, oh, my mom texts me, or oh, so-and-so needs something. That's fine. But you're not going to get on it and fuck around with it. But it's hard. But I think that it goes back to the whole thing we just talked about. It's a disconnect. This is a really surface, easy thing to do. One thing, has nothing to do with our cell phones, but my lady and I, we just had a wedding here with a bunch of family and friends, and my kids met almost all their cousins. And when they left, they all just desperately missed each other because we don't get together very often. And so what we decided to do is write letters. And so now we're either going to, and we sit down and have dinner together, we're either going to each take a person to write a letter to, or write letters or write a paragraph and then pass it on. So this letter is for so-and-so, and we each write a piece. We're not sure what we're going to do yet. That way we have like a real connection. You're going to take the time to write. You're not going to say, you know, how are you? You're going to say, I really enjoyed spending time with you. I love playing catch with you. How are you doing? How was your first day of whatever? You know, you're going to put down more thoughtful things to really try to connect with somebody, which is what you just did with your buddies. Instead of going, oh, hey, sure, I'll pass it on. Hope you're doing okay. You know, you made the time to say, hey, yes, I could pass that on. That'd be easy to do. But I'm proud of you for accomplishing a goal that you talked about 20-something years ago. You know? That's more of a connection, and that goes back to what we said earlier about we're not understanding and connecting with each other. And then you have people saying, I'm a Trump guy, I'm an anti-Trump guy, and then I'm going to fucking hate you. And, you know, when shit hits the fan, we're all going to have our guns. And I mean, it just gets ugly so fast, you know. But I mean, the same thing happened with Obama. He was going to take everybody's guns away, and you have more guns than you ever have. So,
but I didn't buy them. It was just ironic, the timing. But I didn't buy any of my guns because Barack Obama was in office.
Oh, I know.
I bought my guns because I started working at a place where I'm getting paid to be a good shooter.
Right.
So it was behoovent. Is that the right word?
It sounds great.
It was good.
It behooved me
to be a better shooter, to have my own guns, to be comfortable with my guns. I mean, I shot in the military, but you know, who really shoots an M60 at home?
Right.
No,
yes.
no one. So it was good for me to get some weapons and familiarize myself and enjoy them, you know. And so yeah, that's what I did.
Or for me, I would think it would just be getting more comfortable with those weapons. I mean, to be good at your job, you need to be comfortable with them all the time almost. And so it's probably good to have them and just be comfortable with them, period. So that's not every time you do put on your weapons, you're not like, oh, here's that thing again. You're just strapping on a gun that you've used.
That goes away really quickly.
I imagine.
It goes away real quick. Real quick. Yeah.
Well, hey, I think that this podcast was good because, for me personally, because we didn't do a lot of bitching, and we talked honestly about making connections, and that's why we are disconnected with people.
Yeah.
And that if you can be understanding and thoughtful, and so if this neo-Nazi over here is talking to me and he's using language like fag or nigger or things like that, that I can realize that he's not talking to me he's not calling me those things, and I don't like them.
Yeah.
But I still have to be able to say, okay, and let him still express his idea so I can understand him and not let those words block me from listening. Does that make sense?
I'm so proud of you.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
You did not go into an apoplectic state of shock when you said the N-word.
It's a gross word.
It is a gross word, but normally you go out of your way to not say it.
Hey, listen, with you in particular, when you say
so much.
With you in particular, when you say things to me like, well, when you say the N-word, it makes me think it in my head. You might as well just say it. You're making me think it instead of you just saying the word. So it made me think that, not that, oh, hey, I'm going to freely use that word around Matt. It's more of like me going, okay, in particular, I know that it bothers him when I do that. I should just say the word to him.
So you're being considerate.
I'm trying to be. It's hard. You're an asshole. Just kidding. So in this particular instance, I'm using that because that's probably what somebody who's a neo-Nazi would say, and I'm not using it in a context that's bad, and it's a word that you're aware of because you have 3 black kids and you were just talking about it last podcast.
Yeah.
And so I just am not. I
just
trying
wanted
not
to say
to have
the word
so much.
Appleplex. I just wanted to say, I'm like, how can I fit in apoplexy?
Well, and I don't want to be. I want to be able to use words and not be hung up on them. It's not that I would ever use the N word in a regular conversation.
I really didn't want to go down this road. I was just teasing you.
I know,
okay.
but I feel like I'm changing a little bit because the word is as abhorrent to me as it always was, but I give it too much power. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I have homework for you. You want to know what my homework is?
I'm not fucking.
This is my homework assignment. I want you to think about this.
Wasn't this enough?
Once you leave this studio, I want you to think about it. Not that I'm right. Okay, I'm not saying I'm right at all.
Okay.
What I'm saying is I want, and our listeners, our viewers, I want you guys to kind of think about this. 2 things. 1, what's the difference between giving me a reason and giving me an excuse? Okay, don't give me an answer right now. Like, say your boss goes, why the fuck isn't this done? What's the difference between a reason and excuse? I don't want to hear any excuses. I wasn't giving you an excuse. I was giving you a reason. It sounds like an excuse. What's the difference, okay, between a reason and an excuse? And can you find examples in your day-to-day life of that's describing somebody's personality, that's describing their actions, and that's name-calling? And can you make a clear distinction between the two? And why would you make that distinction?
Okay.
Because I think those are 2 very common things that people have an extremely hard time differentiating. Because I remember telling my boss what I thought were reasons why something didn't get done. And he kept insisting that they were excuses. And it was to the point where I was getting really upset.
That'll be a good topic. I think we could expand on that for quite a bit.
So that's your homework assignment, people, Earthlings, because we're all one. We all bleed the same color. We all deal with the same hopes and dreams, and we all care and love and hate and fear. So we're all the same, even though our skin color might be different or we live in different places.
And this podcast will get you past all those things.
Oh, maybe.
Just kidding.
Maybe, hopefully, we'll all get a little bit tougher.
Changing the world.
Jesus Christ. All right. Well, that's it. Tonight for the Primal Scream podcast, I'm Matt.
And I am always in the shadow, Todd.
We'll see you later.
Adios.
Good night.